Welcome to Rip It Up, the Renovations podcast. I'm Jenny.
I'm Kate, and between us we've renovated a lot of houses and it hasn't scared us off.
In fact, we loved it so much that we can't stop talking about it. So in this podcast, we will give you all the tools and info that you need to tackle your own renovation like a pro.
Today we're tackling the hardest working spaces in your home: laundry rooms, boot rooms, and all the clever cabinets and gadgets to keep that mess behind closed doors. So are you ready to hide the chaos in style? Let's dive in.
Okay, welcome back to the podcast. Hi, Kate.
Hi Jen.
How are you?
I'm good. Busy, but good. It's all
you've a lot
systems go at the house at the moment, which is exciting. But it's finally starting to be the kind of pretty stuff that's arriving and the nice stuff that's going in. It's not just a big mud pile and dust and rubble all the time, which is cool.
Speaking of pretty stuff, you have been posting lamps and light shades on your stories on Instagram, and I am absolutely obsessed.
Well, you're obsessed with lighting anyway, I think.
I'm obsessed with lighting, but I really feel like you've nailed it for this house. I can't wait to see it all come together.
I've taken a leaf out of your book this time and spent a lot of time on sourcing lighting, but yeah, I'm really happy with the ones that have arrived so far. Still have a few more to come, like the bigger ones, you know, the big pendant and chandelier ones, but like a lot of the wall lights have arrived, a lot of the kind of spotlights. And I know we spoke of our kind of dislike in spotlights before, so I have minimal amount of spotlights that I need in the house, but I have gone for the like plastered in ones, you know, they're rimless, trimless.
Love it.
Which is nice.
You need them somewhere. I don't hate them. I just hate having a whole roof like sprayed with that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm excited now for some of that stuff to start going in. And we're kind of at first fix at the moment, which is exciting.
It's so exciting. It's like there's a phase with all renovation where like it's overwhelming. There's loads of decisions. You're just looking at this building site and you're like, what in the name of God? All your money is just disappearing. And then I feel like it just ramps up and you start being able to like do all the fun stuff, the decor, picking things out, which also is a lot of decisions. And I know it's a lot of hard work, but God, it's so exciting seeing it all come together.
It is.
The vision comes
is.
to life.
Yeah. So, as I said, I'm at first fix, so that means I was kind of doing all the pipe work and stuff before the screed goes down next week. So we're looking at all that pipe work, and one of the rooms that I saw some pipe work going into today, and I was like, do we have everything we need there, is our utility. And I'm so excited to actually have a utility this time because I didn't have one last time. We just had a kind of a utilities bank of units in our kitchen, so like our washing machine and stuff was in the kitchen. So I'm very excited to have an actual utility room.
That is so exciting. And I don't have one, and it's a miss because you think you don't need one. So that's what we're talking about today. Utility rooms, laundry rooms, the kind of, what would you call it? Like the other room, the
I know.
Utility
the place
room.
Where you can hide the mess, I think. Hide your dirty grey knickers.
Yeah.
So they're not hanging on clothes horses.
Or the radiators or whatever it might be. And so when we were preparing for this episode, Kate, you made such a good point that like there's all these amazing drying solutions out there from like Swedish airing cupboards out there made for countries, Scandinavian countries, where they just do everything right, where the climate's a little bit damper and they don't maybe have the longest days like us. And why don't we have them? Why is there no Irish airing cupboards?
How many times have you been told by one of your parents to run out and get the washing off the line because it started to rain?
Run! I know. It's crazy.
Why are we still doing this? And why are we still like, you know, running in, take it in the laundry, and then it's already wet again and they have to hang it out again. And so the cycle continues. So it ends with me. I'm going to, you know, solve this in my utility. I won't tell my children to run out and get stuff off the line.
You're lucky. Like this is the new generation of children who just will never know
hard work.
A wonderful life for them. Anyway, utility laundry. It's something. If you are amidst renovation or you're planning out your home or anything, and you fail to plan in an area for where you're going to be drying your clothes, then you're just going to be looking at a rack full of grey knickers, and you're going to regret it. So listen to us now and get this right.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be a utility room, like just a utilities space, you know, I don't know, cupboard, whatever. But I think if you design it well and design it and think it out properly, it can be so multifunctional, so multi-purpose, so kind of, it can house so much more than you'd think, I think. And even appliances now are even getting smarter. So buying smart when you buy the appliances to go with it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they are getting much better. And like, I know, I don't want to mention tumble dryers because I know that they're not very energy efficient. It's not the best way to dry your clothes. It doesn't contribute to your clothes longevity. So it's just overall not really a sustainable option. That said, I have a combo washer dryer. The dryer is brilliant. It's an A-rated appliance, and so every now and then I will just, like, what I tend to do is like hang stuff up and then finish it off for like 10-20 minutes in the
so you don't have to iron them either.
Oh no, screw that. I'm not ironing anything. Good luck. I hate ironing.
But that's why I love finishing things in the
that you have to iron is a shirt. Like, you do have to iron a shirt.
I know.
It is what it is. But I have a handheld steamer and I do my tumble dryer trick, and it's unreal. But anyway, if I were redesigning, so I do have a hot press where my water tank is and my boiler and all that. And that gets nice and warm, and I've got hangers, I've just got racks positioned in there, kind of airing shelves. And that is what I use to dry my clothes. It's a bit awkward. It's not the handiest thing in the world, but it's the space that I had and it works fine. So it's grand. But were I to do it again, and were I to have more space in my home, this is how I would design my dream, like, laundry / utility room or space or whatever it might be. The number one thing I would get is a dehumidifier.
Oh yeah, 100%. And if you have an apartment, if you live in an apartment, you should own one. Like, because stuff doesn't dry properly in an apartment, you can't hang it out in the balcony. No brainer. If you live in an apartment, you should have a dehumidifier, I think.
Because if you're just leaving stuff hanging out to dry, like, yeah, you're totally right. It doesn't dry properly. It's getting in the way anyway. And it does contribute to condensation in your home. So get a dehumidifier. It'll reduce the drying time. Honest to God, it'll like quarter it, third it, if not quarter it. It's unreal. It'll actually get your clothes dry. I was looking up good brands because I don't have one myself because I have that hot press. But I was looking at brands, and Meaco seemed to get a lot of really, really good reviews. I don't know if you've used one.
Dehumidifier?
Meaco.
I'm trying to remember what the brand I had. It was DeLonghi, I think, the one I had when I lived in an apartment. And then we had another one later on. We actually bought a big, not industrial size one, but one of the larger ones, like a large suitcase size one, when we moved into one of our last house or this house. And you know, when you want to dry the place out, but it hasn't been lived in for years and it can be damp, we just had it on in each of the rooms before we lived there for the first few days, and the amount of moisture it took out of the rooms. But yeah, I used to use a DeLonghi one when we were in our apartment, when we lived in an apartment in Galway, and that was how I dried my clothes all the time. They were dry in no time.
They're dry in no time, like literally just a few hours. They're totally bone dry. They're cheaper to run overall than a washing machine. They have the added benefit of sucking moisture out of your house. So if you have any issues with condensation or damp or anything like that, double bonus. And it's way better for your clothes. Like, if you're somebody who, wants to move away from fast fashion and wants to own better clothes for longer, then hanging your clothes up and drying them with a dehumidifier is so much better for your clothes than a tumble dryer.
Yeah. Now I will confess, I tumble dry a lot of my kids' clothes because they're tiny and they're a pain in the ass to hang up, and they dirty them within 30 minutes of putting them on when they're clean. But then my own clothes, I tend to hang them up until they're almost dry, and then maybe just, like you said, finish them in that way, or use the steamer if I need to use the steamer on the rare occasion. But I will say the tumble dryers now are better, and they are a little bit more efficient because they're like, are they kind of heat pump ones or condenser ones or whatever, but they're still expensive to run. Like, they're still fairly heavy on electricity. So, like, if I can avoid it at all, I will.
We're aiming for, like, we're not aiming for perfection here. I definitely do still use mine every now and then, and it is really good for certain things, and that's fine. But if you don't have one, or you don't want to, or you want to cut down your usage of it, then this is your answer. Get a dehumidifier.
So I'm going to talk you through two different things. So, like, my first, the first renovation in Dublin, we had a utility room actually in our first house in Galway. So we had our we just had a washer dryer actually. We didn't have a separate washer and dryer, and our boiler was in there as well, and the water tank and stuff. So that took up the bulk of it. But we just had like a run of countertop, and I think we had a sink, a stainless steel sink in a utility. If you're putting in a sink, just put in a stainless steel one. Lets you do all the messing and like soaking stuff or whatever. It's just handy and low maintenance. And then we just had a run of countertop and a clothes rail mounted between the wall and the next cabinet, so you can hang clothes to dry up there as well, rather than just having an extra clothes horse in there. So that's like the most basic kind of solution, but it worked grand. Like, I still had a washing line there, but it worked fine. Then we moved up to Dublin and we renovated the first house here. we didn't have the space for a utility, but we had a long run of units in our kitchen that kind of acted as a utilities bank. Now, we did have a pantry in there as well, but on the washing machine dryer side, we had the washing machine and dryer side by side in the cabinet on dampening mats, vibration dampening mats.
Oh, brilliant.
So the big rubber mats, and they were in the cabinets and sliding high doors when you needed to use them. We had a run of countertop there. It worked fine, plenty of space, but I still had hanging clothes somewhere. I was like, okay, you know, you still have to have a clothes horse the odd time. We had it inside the doors, or when it was kind of pre-COVID, so we were kind of like out for the whole day at work anyway, so you kind of put your clothes out in the morning and hopefully they would dry inside the windows and you come back that evening. But it was fine. But I will say, I always left the washing machine to when people weren't in the house, because no matter whatever dampening mat you use and you have a cabinet in front of it, once that spin cycle starts, it's pretty disruptive if someone's in your kitchen or you're trying to have a chat.
Totally. Or even watch TV if it's near if you have like an open plan space.
Yeah.
It's just a really frustrating noise.
Yeah. So then like this time I was like, if we can fit in even a tiny little utility, I really want one back. And especially now because I have two small kids, you know, they're coming in, you know, they'll be coming in with, you know, dirty shoes, whatever, maybe even sports gear or whatever in a year or two's time. And I wanted to have that kind of dirty boot room utility where you kind of throw all that dirty stuff and kind of out of sight, out of mind for a little bit. Mm-hmm. So this time I planned it out that I have a washing machine dryer side by side. I have the dampening mats again. I'm actually going to repurpose some of my Elfa stuff in there.
Oh,
and then
Elfa. How much I love it. They're just the best. That's what I put into my hot press as well, where the water tank is. And like,
there's an attachment for everything, like.
Oh, they're unreal. Listener, if you haven't heard us talk about Elfa before, I think go back to our wardrobes episode, we talked about it. They're unreal.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a system that you just screw into your wall, and it's basically open kind of wire shelves, drawers, whatever. And they have unreal laundry
utility stuff. Yeah, they even have like garage tool storage, everything. But the utility stuff is pretty handy, and they kind of pull out drying racks and all that as well. So I'm going to use some of the racks I have and do kind of laundry baskets within that, I think, in my new utility. And then over that, because I have a bit of ceiling space above the countertop, I'm going to do a Foxy dry or something like that. So have you heard of Foxy dry?
Talk me through the Foxy dry, because you mentioned this before and I hadn't heard of it. Talk me through it.
So it's kind of essentially a Sheila Maid, but there's different levels of them that kind of blow warm air or whatever to dry your clothes faster. So there's different
Sheila
kind
Maid
of levels.
Sheila Maid is the clothes horse that is on a pulley system that you pull up and down. It's like ceiling mounted and you pull it up and down to hang clothes off.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is like supercharged Sheila Maid.
Yeah, kind of a slightly fancier, more modern version of it that kind of, I suppose, dries your clothes faster with warm air or whatever as well at the same time. And just because we have the space for that, I think it makes sense to put one in above the countertop space. And so hopefully I'll have no clothes horse anywhere else in the house, and that will be able to take kind of everything. And no clothesline in my garden either. Hopefully. That's
the clothesline in the garden, like, there's clothesline in the garden. I love, like, I will hang stuff out on like a retractable clothesline, especially sheets. If it's a sunny day, I mean, I'm Irish, like I'm getting the sheets out there, you know, there's no better feeling. But if you've hay fever or someone in your household has hay fever, then that's a no-go, because the pollen just gets all over the sheets and then you can't use them. So this is actually a must for a big group of people. Yeah.
So that's my plan for this renovation. Reuse the Elfa stuff for my wardrobe, get the new attachments for baskets, you know, washing baskets, all that kind of stuff, and pull out racks or kind of stuff to hang clothes, like maybe shirts and whatever. I haven't planned in an ironing board. I don't know, will I just store the ironing board in there? But like, should I put in one of the old-fashioned kind of pull-down ones, you know, that are kind of hinged off the wall or something?
Well, I will say, I just won't iron. I just hate it. I don't own an iron. I refuse to do it. What I do is when I'm going shopping for clothes, before I buy anything, I scrunch it. And if it wrinkles after me scrunching it in my hand, then I just won't buy it, because I'm not going to iron it, so there's no point. But what I have conceded to, is I have a handheld steamer. Mine is Tefal, I think. Tefal Pop or something like that. And it is really, really good. Like, it gets the wrinkles out. Now, I know shirts are a different situation, so you do have to iron shirts, but I don't know. I haven't tried to steam iron a shirt, so I can't really speak for that. I just won't do it. I'm not installing any ironing board in my hypothetical future home. utility or laundry room.
You don't iron
But-
bed sheets either, so.
Not at all. You joking me? Bed sheet? No way.
I will be honest. I used to always iron my bed sheets when I had kind of like, the higher thread count cotton sheets, and I used to love like ironed bed sheets. But sure, who's got fucking time for that now?
I love getting into iron bed sheets, but I'm not ironing them. It's not
And then
happening.
when I switched over my bedding a couple of years ago, and I only use Amarel now, they don't even need to be ironed, and they look class.
What
So
do
I'm
you
like,
have, the linen?
grand.
Have you the
I have
linen or the
both. I have the
cotton?
linen and the cotton, but like the cotton are so soft that like even if you slightly tumble dry them at the end to soften them out, the wrinkles don't stay in
Yeah.
it. So I don't iron them, and they look perfect on the bed, you know.
Yeah.
And the linen
And then linen's supposed to be wrinkled anyway, so like,
yeah, it looks
that's
better
the look.
to be
Yeah.
honest. So like, yeah, I think it looks better than trying to iron. I remember someone telling me before, oh, I couldn't get all the creases out of the linen. I was like, what are you trying to do? Like, you'll be there all day. But anyway, I don't iron. I iron very, very little now. It's kind of more dressy stuff, like you said, or a shirt, the odd shirt or something
exactly.
like that, or a pair
Work
of
stuff or
trousers
dressy
something.
stuff. Yeah.
But that's the
Which
plan for
do you,
this
sorry,
one.
I've gone off topic here, but which do you prefer, the cotton or the linen for softness?
It depends the time of the year. Like linen is lovely in the summertime. It's really airy and breathable. But then the
Yeah.
cotton is super soft.
Okay.
I will say the
Good to
linen
know.
can be a little bit rough on your hair and your pillowcase. That's
Well,
the only thing.
I swear by it. I have curly hair, so I need the silk pillowcases.
Okay, you
otherwise I
have
look
that.
like an
Yeah, yeah.
actual monster. when
I
wake
think
up
I
in the
need to
morning.
switch. I think I need to switch to that for my kind of day-to-day pillowcase.
Oh, they've changed my life. I've had them years now. Obsessed.
Really?
Yeah. I used to, like, I can just get up and go now. Like big head
Okay, I
or
need to
curly
try
hair,
that.
you just
I
have
need
to.
to try that.
Okay, I'm going to
but
pair
that's
it
the
back
plan.
right back. I love this plan. I'm going to pair it right back, right? So when you're at planning stage, you're thinking about your home layout and like you want to install a utility room / laundry room. So first things first, it needs to be somewhere that's plumbed.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. Like it's not something you can really just pop in anywhere in your home, because it is really handy to have your washing machine and maybe a sink and all that. So you at minimum need electricity, but ideally you need plumbing in that space as well.
Yeah, so you need to plumb for your washing machine, and you also need waste, obviously, for the wastewater. And then you'll need to
Yeah.
tap off, if you want hot water as well, if you're putting in a sink as well, you'll have to put hot and cold and waste. But yeah, a sink is great if you can fit it in, but it's not always practical, because you can't put a sink over where you have a washing machine below. So you'd have to have an additional unit, so it depends on the
And I
size of
think,
your
like,
utility.
And thinking about the sink as well, because like it is really handy for, if you're soaking certain items, maybe
Yeah.
like whites, if you need to give them a soak or something like that, super handy for that. But of course you can just use a basin as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
But think about the sink as well, or plumbing. Like if your utility room is just in, if there's an external door coming in and out, and there's going to be kids or pets or adults or whatever coming in with like mucky shoes and mucky paws and sports gear, it could be really helpful to have, first of all, maybe an outdoor tap just to, wipe off the biggest muck, but potentially maybe like a floor level kind of, sink almost with a
Shower.
hose in it, like a hose attachment in it.
Like a wet room
Just
kind of setup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you're at planning stage, like that could be really worth thinking about. If you're,
Are you telling me to
don't
hose
have a lot of
Are
muck,
you telling me to hose off my kids?
I'm
before they
telling
come
your
in?
kids need a hose down when they come into your house. That's exactly what I'm saying.
and your doggy's paws after a walk.
Someone needs to say it to you, Kate. Like, those kids need a hose.
It would be the best of. I wouldn't be the best at bathing them nightly now, to be honest. It's not good for their skin
Kids are
anyway.
too clean
That's
these
what
days. It's better for their immune system. Let the dirt.
Exactly.
rain.
That's what I maintain. It's better for their skin not to be washing them every day.
Exactly. Over hygienic. It's not good for them.
Yeah.
But it is something to think about, like something at kind of lower level, floor level, just to hose down shoes, mucky gear, pet paws, whatever, like could be a lifesaver. Or maybe an external tap going outside to do that could be brilliant as well. Like I use my hose outside all the time. It's so handy.
Yeah.
Love it.
I actually did
then-
a utility. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, I actually did a utility design for a client recently, and she had 4 kind of teen kids, from early teens to late teens, and like all of them were big into sport and multiple sports each. So when we laid out the kind of utility design, it was a nice, like she wanted a big generous utility, so she had all the kind of bells and whistles of, the washer, dryer, the sink, all that. But then rather than just doing random cabinets, she set up the kids' space like lockers, so they had like a separate
cute.
kind of cabinet each that was kind of somewhat breathable for like hurling gear, tennis gear, whatever, and like fit them to all the equipment that they use, and then all low down where there was a bench, just pull out drawers for like shoes and whatever that was just easy to dump stuff into. So they couldn't kind of...
Very nice.
And she also actually had a cubby under each of their lockers for their washing that was done.
Oh my
so she'd
god!
dump it into there, so they had to take it up into their own room and stuff themselves, which I thought was genius.
Love that. That's brilliant.
So it was a really well kind of thought out and laid out. She really wanted kind of all that detail in it.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was a genius kind of utility boot room, kind of multifunctional space, especially if you have a lot of kids like that play sports.
It's genius. And like my personal perspective is you can't really go over the top in a space like this. Like you are washing clothes non-bloody stop, especially if you've got a family. Like you have to, this is something you have to do all the time unless you have, you know, help in the home or something like that, which I don't. But like you may as well make life easy for yourself and pleasant for yourself by having a really nice space.
Doesn't it make your house look nicer as a result, because your house is tidier as a result of having a well planned out utility, whereas like if you don't have that well planned out space, not even utility room but space, cabinet, cupboard, whatever way you dry your clothes and whatever way you put away your laundry or whatever, they'd be hanging around everywhere and they're on the steps of your stairs and whatever, and it just it makes everything else a bit more clutter free and tidy and nice. So I think definitely don't let it be an afterthought, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love the thought process there of like not only thinking about where does stuff go, but actually like where do things go when they're in their transient state? So like, you know, freshly laundered clothes, like having somewhere to keep that is genius as well. Or, yeah, I love that. Do you know what I've heard about as well that I've never seen it in Ireland? So if anyone, I'm sure people do have it, but I've never seen it, is laundry chutes from a room down into a laundry room.
My sister used to have one actually.
Wowzers.
The only thing is it does, obviously sound kind of travels down it, you know, so like from whatever room it is in upstairs down to downstairs, it has to be kind of well boxed in and insulated, because like it is a bit of a sound channel or kind of channel up to the upstairs then, you know. But yeah, that she had one all the way down, and her utility was actually in the basement, which was kind of smart, handy way to do it, isn't it?
That is class. Yeah, like if I was redesigning a house and I had space and I had like a separate laundry room, I definitely would think about laundry chutes going into each one, and then you know those cool, there's like a central vacuum thing you can do where you plug just a Hoover hose into each section. I've seen it in loads of offices. That would be amazing as well. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the utility cabinet, cupboard, whatever being upstairs, like in your landing space? That's quite popular in the US. Yeah. Because I suppose you're not carrying it. You're carrying it less, because all your clothes, your dirty laundry and clean laundry are going from and to bedrooms. So having it near a bedroom makes total sense to me. So this, if you're planning to do that, which I think is actually genius, as long as you don't hang your clothes outside, because I think as Irish people we're a little bit stuck that like we have to at least attempt to hang it up outside, do you know, because we always did it that way and we didn't have tumble dryers, or at least if we had tumble dryers our parents always, you know, scared us into ever turning it on. But like I think having it in the landing is actually genius if you're someone that only keeps the laundry to that space, and then you're not trucking it downstairs and trucking it back upstairs or whatever, but you need to decide that you're not going to hang it out in the garden first. It could be an amazing use of a box room, and maybe it frees up some space for you in your downstairs in what would have been a utility. Like maybe you swap your home office or something from upstairs to downstairs. We both lived in the Netherlands and separately at separate times, but what they do and what we can't do here because of it's really difficult to get anything electric into a bathroom here in Ireland, but they always had their washing machines in the bathrooms. They just lived in the bathrooms, like that's where they we think same in Spain a lot, isn't it? When you go and like if you ever get an Airbnb or whatever, an apartment when you're on holidays in Spain, it's always in the bathroom. Yeah, makes so much sense. I don't know why we'd put it in the kitchen. Like it actually makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. It's next to impossible to do it here. You just can't really, but like I don't know why. It would be great if we could. I know. So then naturally all the laundry just kind of happened upstairs. Yeah, I feel like in Ireland we're paranoid. Do they think someone's going to pick up an electric appliance like a washing machine and throw it into the bath when someone's having a bath? Like, what's the risk here? Like the splash zone has to be 60 meters away. Yeah, exactly.
It's so restrictive.
Anyway, safety first. It is what it is. But yeah, having them upstairs I think makes sense. Okay, back to designing. If you're thinking from the outset, you're designing a laundry room, so it needs to go somewhere where there's plumbing, wastewater. It could be upstairs or downstairs, and then countertop space is so helpful. Like you really need some level of countertop space. So either you have your appliances under one longer countertop, or if you have to stack them and you've no space at all, then think about putting in a pull-out shelf in between your appliances so that you can fold and stack your baskets of laundry or whatever. Like you definitely need something. But because overall you really don't need very much space. Like I've seen people do it under the stairs with great effect. Like you really don't need that much space to have it. You just need to think about planning it out properly. So pull-out shelf, super helpful. And then I love the Sheila Maid or the Foxy Dry, having it come down from the ceiling and then pull it back up out of the way so you can still use the floor space. It's not taking up floor space. Yeah. And you've laundry hanging overhead. Do you know what I've seen? Again, I don't think we could do it here. There's most Japanese bathrooms have these amazing kind of like built-in dehumidifier extractor fans in the ceiling and retractable clotheslines over the bath. And so they just tend to hang their laundry there and then it's closed or it's dry in a few hours and then it's gone again. Anyway, another thing.
We actually had one of those in Galway. It was what was the brand? It wasn't Joseph, but it was one of those kind of Brabantia, the one that make the bins.
Oh yeah.
And it was like a plastic rack, maybe 40 centimeters long, and then you pulled out like another plastic bar which had 5 runs of like I guess not string.
Oh, I have one of them. They sell them in the organised store.
And you just pull them out and it's like a retractable.
Yeah, it's just a neat little unit that's just fixed onto the wall. I haven't installed it yet, but I'm going to swap my outdoor clothesline for this one because it gives you 5 in 1 basically. So it's just a neat little kind of bar, it looks like, on the wall. And then when you pull it out, there's 5 clotheslines all attached to this kind of bar. And then you just hook it onto a hook that you've installed on the other side and you've got a great...
But that's a great solution for, like, again, maybe an apartment over a bath, extension cord with the dehumidifier into your bathroom. Just don't throw the humidifier into the bath, you know. But like that's a solution as well.
And also don't tell anybody that we told you to put a dehumidifier in your bathroom because you're not allowed. You can't plug anything into your bathroom. It's a no-go. Okay, so you need a bit of storage then. I think like if you're installing shelves at all, I think those wire shelves make so much sense. Like shelves that ventilate rather than, you know, MDF or whatever shelves. Like get the Elfa is brilliant, or Boaxel from Ikea. They have all those wire shelves and it's brilliant because everything just dries so much faster and, you know, it doesn't get musty, doesn't get damp, anything. Really good. Easy to clean floors I think is vital because there might be spillages, there might be muck, there might be whatever. So lino would be great. Tiles would be great. Laminate would be great.
Yeah.
Anything to make
some
it
of the
really
waterproof lino. Yeah, some of the waterproof laminates now are really durable. But also if you're getting any cabinetry made in there, that they are made from the waterproof kind of MDF or whatever, if they're MDF doors, or they're well painted and well sealed. Because like you said, if there's a chip in that paint or whatever and you're in a kind of a damp environment like that, it'll probably just start to swell in no time. So any of that stuff I think should be moisture resistant where possible. But yeah, I think a lot of people are doing joinery now, like it's part of their kitchen design that they do the utility from the same kitchen place and properly kind of plan it out and do all the joinery. And if you're doing that, like, you know, the world's your oyster, you can make it as kind of custom as you want and do shelves and pullouts and all this kind of gadgetry. But I think there's so many options out there now to give you flexibility if you don't have the budget left over to spend another 5 or 10 grand on your utility space as well.
Totally. You can totally cobble it together with, and you might even be better off. The last thing that I think to think about then is everything you're going to need to store in there. Like back to that woman who had the genius idea of the lockers, and you know, I love that, like a place for everything and everything in its place. Like it just makes for such a well organized, satisfying house.
Relaxing house.
Don't just lash in cabinets. I think think about what you're storing. Like, do you have, you know, a sweeping brush? Do you have long items that need like a full length, but maybe it could just be really narrow? I keep going back to my 10 centimetre wide little cupboard in my kitchen that I'm obsessed with. Everything
you could actually probably fit an ironing board in there if you wanted to.
Easily. If you could do it. But you don't need much width.
I remember when I went to my husband, but not my now husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, his parents' house for the first time, and his mom went to iron something, and she pulled out this retractable ironing board from, like, I'd say maybe their kitchen was from the 80s or something, but she pulled out this retractable ironing board and it folded out of the drawer in the kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what is that thing? And I was kind of like laughing about it at the time, but now they're really making a comeback, these kind of retractable ironing boards.
Yeah.
So they might be something you want to fit in. And also, you might be interested as well. Joseph have a foldable ironing board. Like, as in it completely folds up.
Accordions up. I think they're my favourite brand for just really clever items. They're just so good. Love them.
Space saving for sure. And also, if you have a small utility space and you have a door into it, hang stuff on the back of the door. Yeah. There's so much storage even on the back of your door. You can hang the ironing board if you really want an ironing board. Like, there's actually so much storage in the back of the door if you're smart there as well.
You could go, actually, the Elfa system does have a really good over the door hanging system that's really good for organising. Another thing you could do is put pegboard, that IKEA pegboard. You could put that all along one wall and then just put a million hooks up and hang up like everything off the floor. Like, it just makes it so much easier. You'd be surprised how much storage goes onto a wall.
Absolutely. And also, if you're not putting in kind of high cabinets, say you want to keep it clear for a Sheila Maid or something like that, above head height or whatever, and I know you wouldn't put anything above your head anyway because you might hit your head and die.
I wouldn't in a laundry room.
I
wouldn't put doors. I don't mind open shelves though.
But I love, the picture ledge shelves. They're only like, I don't know, 10 centimetres deep maybe or something like that.
Anybody watching on YouTube, they're behind me here. They're about the width of my, from the tip of my baby finger to my tip of my thumb, not even.
And IKEA do them. I've seen like oak ones in H&M or Zara Home and stuff as well. And I've used them a lot in bedrooms for books for the kids and stuff. But like, they're actually genius for utility rooms because you can put a lot of cleaning stuff like lined up on those, and they don't take up a lot of depth into the room. So you'll still fit your hanging stuff and all that, but you'll be able to line up
like
all your
your
cleaning stuff up high or
and
whatever.
stuff.
Yeah, it'll still fit so much. And I think IKEA have genius little mini skinny little pull-out trolleys that fit everything perfectly if you're kind of tight on space. So there's so many little flexible solutions that you need very little, unless you really want it to look really polished and perfect or whatever. Fine, go custom then. But like a run of countertop and some dampening mats for your washer dryer, and there's so many other little neat solutions that you can kind of
the dampening mats are a really
functional.
good idea. Like, if you're lucky enough to have a separate room, dampening mats they're such a good idea, because like these things, like, I don't know, no matter what I do in the last spin cycle, every washer dryer or washer I've ever had sounds like it's about to like launch for the
take
moon.
off.
Like, it's just really noisy. So surrounding it with dampening mats, you just have to be really careful that it's all fireproof. It has to be fire rated if you're surrounding your washing machine with anything. And don't underneath.
Actually, just reminded me as well, don't if you don't have the space for, say, cabinetry for your washer or dryer, you can actually stack them. Now, don't just put them on top of each other, because one of them will, fall off probably. Yeah. But you can
joinery.
You can get a washing machine stacking kit or a washer dryer stacking kit. I bought one on Amazon for our house, and we put it in an old disused kind of shower room that was downstairs, and that's where we stacked our washer dryer temporarily before we moved out. So we stacked the washer dryer, and it had a little pull-out drawer in the middle. So
the pull-out drawer is critical, I think, because you do need surface.
Put the basket on it and get everything out of the tumble dryer, and then the washing machine is down below. So it they stack on top of each other, but then they come with these special kind of ties that anchor them to the wall, so they can't move, or once it goes to that spin cycle, that it's not knocking the washing machine or a dryer off the top. So they're really good, the stacking kits, if you just have a tiny little space and you want to have your washer dryer together.
You could do so much in just a tiny little in a space that's literally like the width of one washing machine. If you have height, you could do so much with that. Yeah. Or you could obviously, like the one, I will say my combo washer dryer, if you're not doing loads and loads of laundry or you're not using the dryer that much, mine is Hoover, and it's the first one I've ever had that has been genuinely an excellent dryer.
Really?
So I'd be happy to recommend that. Yeah, Hoover. The one thing I would say about them though is it comes with an app. It's like it's connected to the Wi-Fi. It comes with an app, and that app is the most useless piece of tech I've ever seen in my life. It just doesn't work. Nonsense. UI makes no sense.
I've always had Samsung ones actually.
We've
Samsung the last one. And it has the longest jingle you've ever heard in your life. Does this have the jingle? It goes on for like I'd say nearly a minute. Honestly, it's it's so long that like the people have made TikToks dancing, like doing dance routines to the Samsung jingle. Now you can turn it off, like, but it almost like made everyone cheered up in the house because everyone would dance to it. It went on for so long. But anyway, I've always had the Samsung ones. They're smart. The Samsung apps are okay, but they're not kind of well integrated with like, you know, Alexa and stuff like that. They're kind of standalone Samsung SmartThings app, which is a bit clunky. It's not great, but it works. You know, if you want to schedule things, you forgot to turn it on, or I don't know, you want to do something when you're outside the house. But honestly,
I've used my app like 4 times, not to great effect. I just don't think it's worth it. Don't bother getting a smart one, I would say.
There's a button on it to delay the cycle. Like, I don't know
exactly
what else you'd really want to do. Yeah. Do you know? And what, like, if it's going to tell you when you're out of the house, like, oh, the cycle has stopped or something, sure, what the fuck am I going to do now? I'm out of the house anyway. Like, what good is it knowing that on the app, you know? You can't just set it going again or whatever. So, I don't know. I think the smart is grand, but I don't know. I wouldn't be pushed by it. But, what
I'm going to finish off with, right, is, so this is all dreamy if you do have a dedicated room or dedicated space to give over to your laundry, your utility, whatever it is. If you don't, then it means you kind of have to distribute this stuff throughout the house in a way that makes sense. So me, for example, my washer dryer has to be in my kitchen. There's just nowhere else that it would have gone, even like potentially. So a dampening mat underneath is great. The little, you know, the little felt pads that go on the door is brilliant. If there's any little bit of a rattle, it helps that. Like, it's not foolproof. I can still, the last spin cycle is still really loud, but that's only whatever, it's a few minutes long, like I'll get over it. So that's really helpful. Then a cupboard for storage for all your long items. Where mine is in, again, a tiny little 10 centimetre wide press that was built into my kitchen between the edge of the fridge and the wall, and that is unbelievable for all of the long, like, sweeping brushes, dustpans, everything. Like, it fits in there, and it fits in so well. Another place I've seen people do it, which I think is genius, is using behind the kickboards. So taking out the kickboard underneath, you know, the bottom of your kitchen, and changing it to a drawer, just putting in a drawer runner, and then storing your sweeping brushes or your tall items in there is genius. It's a brilliant use of space. And then thinking about where in your house can you hang your laundry, where it will dry, or where could you put a dehumidifier. Like, if you don't have, you know, a water tank, maybe you just have a combi boiler or something like that. Is there a space or a corner where you could install a Sheila Maid or a Foxy dry, or just a clothes horse, where you could maybe get, you know, a screen or a room divider or something like that, and just, you don't need too much space. And then I beg of you, get your dehumidifier, plug that bad boy in, and you are laughing, like you're just saying goodbye to that clothes horse for most of the day. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I second all the stuff about the little gadgets and stuff. They make your life so much easier. One that I had that I loved was when I had a Dyson before, the Samsung one now, which has a little dock and everything, which I absolutely love. But my old Dyson, all the attachments, they were kind of fucking everywhere, and you got this little like dock that charged the Dyson, you know, the cordless Dyson. So you docked it after you're finished, but I docked that in one of the cabinets on the utilities bank.
Oh, good idea.
And then all the attachments were a part of that dock, so like they weren't, you know, thrown in the bottom of the press. And then just these adhesive kind of I don't know what you call them, kind of roller grab hooks that they kind of roll and grab onto your sweeping brushes or mops or whatever. So everything was up off the base of the cabinet, and everything was kind of around the perimeter, around the sides, and was just so tidy. You fit so much more in one tiny press. So little gadgets like that.
Otherwise you're just shoving everything in, and then you're trying to like reach between the mess to pull out your sweeping brush, whereas this way it's all just like laid out in the same space.
We should definitely link some of the gadgets, because like
we will.
God, I've tried so many of them for this, and I think there's so much there that can make your life a hell of a lot easier, and they're really cheap, a lot of them.
Check the show notes in whatever podcast app you're listening to. We'll link them all in there.
People love an old gadget. We love an old gadget.
We love a gadget.
We went through
remember, like, go back, listener, if you haven't listened to our gadget episode. I came to it being like, I'm not really a big gadget fan. Like, about we
could have had 3 episodes. I'd say we're gonna have to cut this.
Way more episodes.
This is like an hour long.
I love gadgets, as it turns out. Like, just brilliant. All right.
But hopefully that'll make people's utility space a bit easier. think it out. Think about how you'll use it, and think about it as another way to hide your mess and make your home more beautiful and tidy and organised.
It's easy to live in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
clutter free.
Right. And if you have any great ideas like that amazing client of yours with her lockers, send them in to us. We love inspiration.
Yeah.
We'll share
Absolutely.
it with our listeners. All right. That's it.
Well, we'll see
That's
you
my
next
dream
time.
laundry utility planned out. See you in
Yeah,
2 weeks.
absolutely. Bye.
Bye.
If you found that episode useful, please do us a huge favour by giving us a like and a few stars, and especially click that subscribe button. Thank you.